Thank you so much for tuning in to our Fellows webinar this afternoon or evening for some of you that are on the East Coast. We are so excited to be recruiting for our fellows for next year. I'm excited for you to meet our fellows of this year and to hear more about their experiences and what the job really entails and how you can be the future then. um, and so we are going to spend our time this afternoon slash evening talking a little bit about what the Ignite Fellowship is, what are the overall program components, what are you potentially responsible for, what types of candidates we're really looking for to serve as our fellows, the timeline and the next steps. And we're going to do that in about 15 or 20 minutes because we really want to open it up to have conversations with all of you via our chat box to answer all the questions that you might have about the particular program that we are offering. And so as we were getting ready for this webinar and I was looking at all of your emails, I noticed that I didn't know a lot of you. And so I'm presuming that many of you don't know much about Ignite yet. And so I wanted to give you a brief introduction to us so you know what you're getting yourself into. Um, Ignite is a national nonpartisan 501c3, and we have programming here in California, Colorado, and Texas. And then you'll hear from our fellows in Minnesota, Georgia, Atlanta, and in Southern California. And our mission is to build a movement of young fair share of political power. And so we do this via our high school programming. We just licensed our high school curriculum that is now available for the whole country to have. We have college programming via our college councils and our college chapters, which we'll hear more about. And then we also do convenings where we bring all of you fabulous people together through regional convenings, through statewide conferences. And then for some of you might have heard that we are partnering with Running Start to do our first ever national conference in DC this summer called Young Women Run. So there's a photo of actually our fellowship training with our college council members here in the Bay Area. You may have seen it if you know anything about us this year. It is our mobilization photo. Um, and so we are looking for fellows in 8 communities next year. And so we're really excited because it's doubling the number of fellows that we currently have this year. So we're looking for fellows in Atlanta, in Boston, Denver, LA, Southern California region. I know it's a vast area there. Minneapolis, New York, San Antonio, and Seattle. So those are our, you'll see the ones with the green stars are our new communities. Our pink spaces are where we are currently. So I am so excited. I love the fellowship. It is part of one of my big prides and joys of our programming this year. And I'm just really excited to continue on and grow for next year. So I'm excited to introduce, we have 2 of our fellows on right now. I think one of our fellows is at an event in New York and having some technical difficulties, and then our other one is going to transition in a few minutes. So we have Jade Goings, and she is our fellow in Atlanta, Georgia. Jade graduated from Alabama State last year in
Yeah.
2016. And I first met Jade last year, shortly after she graduated. She has done an amazing job in Atlanta, really cultivating a lot of our beautiful female leaders. Some of you might even be on today. And then Kayla Farahang is our fellow in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Kayla just graduated from the University of Minnesota literally like 4 or 5 days ago on Sunday. And Kayla has had a magical year in Minnesota as well, and maybe have trained some of you. And so they are going to kick off our fellowship webinar with some of their experiences and some of the different pieces that they have been working on. And then hopefully we'll get Tiff and Monica on board in a little bit. Jade, I'm going to put it on to you.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, hi everyone. I'm Jade Goings. As Sarah explained and introduced me, I'm the Atlanta Fellow. I am a native of Atlanta, Georgia, and it has been an amazing year. I'm just going to go over what the Ignite Fellowship actually is outlined to be. So the Ignite Fellowship communities across the U.S., and that can be out of the 8 states specifically that we're taking new fellows in this year from the list like Atlanta and Boston and Seattle. The fellowship provides countless resources and trainings to young women, such as different op-ed trainings, and you get in rooms with electeds or candidates, female candidates that are running for offices, political conversations that you probably have never been exposed to sometimes or known about in your community. Network and community of women and men as well, actually, that invite you to these different events that you have great opportunities to network with these people that you never probably would have been in the room with before. One of my highlights last year was one of the first events that we had that Sarah actually spoke on a panel, political conversation, and then commentator Angela Rye was there, and I never thought that I would just be in a room with Angela Rye one random evening and get to like briefly meet her, just be in that or in that environment and be in a room full of women that were all driven for the same purpose they have alike and different events such as that are what help you to inform you about different issues and to help you learn and progress on your political path and supporting women and also if you choose to run for office as well. I mean, so each fellow also serves as an Ignite ambassador in their respective communities. So you just representing Ignite in that community and Ignite's mission of promoting women to run, supporting women to run, informing women and educating women and the promotion of young women discovering and pursuing their political power in these communities. All the fellowship for me was amazing, and we can probably get in that later with different Q&As. But the fellowship is to help support you to develop yourself and also to help other young women to discover themselves and political passions as well. So I'm going to hand this off to Kayla next.
Cool. So sorry y'all can't see me. I am having some technical difficulties today. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the specific components of the program. I started kind of big picture and then like trickled down. So we start with our program kickoff. That's in the Bay Area. My first time ever going to California was for the program kickoff. We got to meet the other fellows, do some networking, do some visioning for what we want to take home to our fellowship sites. And then we also participated in a lot of really cool trainings. One of them was a really intensive media training that I'll talk about as you can see a little bit in a little bit. And I know that this coming year they're going to be adding a self-care training, which I think is going to be really amazing, so that you can learn how to take care of yourself, like while you're doing all this work, kind of on your own and being your own boss while Sarah's off in California. We also have the national conference, which is another big like travel event that's coming up in July. You should all be getting lots of emails about it, and we hope that you all can come. That's going to be entail some informational interviews, at least for the fellows, to meet with some congresswomen. We're also like everybody will be participating in trainings and workshops. Again, that's another place for us to network with women across the nation and with the other fellows. The kind of main core components of the fellowship is to run the college council and start college chapters. The college council is a space for all the like politically passionate Ignite women in your state to come together quarterly, so 4 times during the school year, to participate in trainings, participate in like policy panels, meet with we always meet with an elected official, have lunch with them, chat about their journey. And then the flip side of that, we also work with the college chapters. So we're helping women that we identify as leaders on their campus to start college chapters. So they'll start an Ignite chapter on their campus. And the way that their chapter functions is sort of like up to them and what they think works best on their campus. But you're sort of like a guide for them to be able to figure out how you start a student group on campus and figure out how they want to structure their student org and help them to get elected to come if they want electeds to come, and help them get people to come in and train if they want to do that as well. And then some extra bits that we get out of the fellowship. We get the media training, which I guess we got 2 media trainings this year, which was really cool. We got the really intensive media training at the program kickoff, where we learned about how to do like on-camera interviews. We learned how to do interviews like for newspapers or written publications. And then we all actually participated in an op-ed training as well. And that was one day I traveled out to Chicago to participate in that. And it was really powerful. It showed us how to use our voice and our opinions in media and push that out. And like they gave us the ins and outs of how to write an op-ed, how to get an op-ed published, and all that great stuff. So that was really empowering. Informational interviews, I sort of touched on. That's like an opportunity to network with elected officials in your state. So I actually got to meet Ilhan Omar. I don't know if you're all familiar with her, but she's the first Somali lawmaker in the United States, and she is such a badass. She was really inspiring to me. She actually kind of pushed me to declare my ambition to run for office. So I've met a lot of really great and powerful women in office through the fellowship, and that's one of the greatest rewarding things is to have these role models that you get to meet through your work with the fellowship. And then lastly, we have like webinars and additional events. Obviously, we're all here participating in this webinar to help you all know a little bit more about the fellowship and know a little bit more about how to apply for the fellowship. I participated in webinars in the past. I know Monica participated in a webinar. We also have the freedom to host additional events as well. So I know Monica and Jade both hosted their own mobilization events. So those are bigger, larger scale events, like 50 to 100 guests, elected officials, women, donors, all sorts of different people came to those, and those were really powerful events. And then I'm going to be hosting an internship fair, I suppose, at the beginning of June, so women can have an opportunity to start interning with campaigns that are running right now because we're having city council elections and mayoral elections in Minnesota or in Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I'm going to have internship fair to get women started on getting involved in the campaign process. So we have a little bit of freedom and room like to work with Sarah and host these additional events aside from the college council events, which is a little bit more personalized and a little bit more tailored to what our women need in our own fellowship sites. Yeah, so passing it on to Monica to talk a little bit more about like the specific responsibilities of each of those things.
Awesome. Please do send me a message if you can hear me. Amazing. Okay, awesome. Hey, everybody. So, my name is Monica, and I am calling from New York. And if you hear noise, Akron, that's just New York. I have run around everywhere looking for a quiet place, and I felt like I found it when I got here, and then suddenly they just started to make noise. So, I'm going to try to speak as loud as possible so then you don't hear the noise. So my slide, all of our responsibilities. And I don't know why they changed the picture that I had, but I had to mention it. I put a picture about workaholics, right? Because I wanted to make the joke that it's not really that, but it's about you really finding a space to do the work that you can do, while also being responsible of maintaining your own health, right? And so I'm going to start by mentioning the first thing that I think a lot of you will be wondering. It's there a lot of responsibilities that I'm not going to be able to do because I will find myself struggling with just graduated from college, or perhaps some of you that may be still a senior in college, or will I be able to, do my diligences with my parents, or in my house, or my other job. So the thing is, Ignite really allows for you to be able to have that space to follow up with your responsibilities, but also to have your own things taken care of. So that being the case, where I'm just coming from, my mother's emergency room yesterday, today with her trying to figure things out, but I'm here doing my work because Ignite allowed me to be able to have all my work done ahead of time, prepare for this, so then I don't have to be running like crazy more than just looking for this space. That being said, responsibilities. You are very lucky because you're coming into as the second phase of what Ignite and its college council will look like in some of the states. And some of you will just start building your own college council. So those that are starting your college council for the first time, you're lucky because you have the amazing freedom to do whatever you want as long as you follow the policies, which is continue building on the regional college council, lead the 2017-2018 regional program, where you're helping not only build this young woman's opportunities to run for office at one point in their careers, but also to sustain the Ignite College chapters that they will have across the region. That's one. And then two, you really have to look at opportunities to organize regional events, to bring a different audience to be aware of what you're doing. Because we know that, yes, we do have the space to help 17, 20 young women, but there are hundreds of other young women outside that cannot come to the college council meetings, but will be able to learn about the resources that we give them and the opportunities they have when running for office through our events, through webinars, through trainings. And the most important thing while you're doing all this is keep in mind social media, right? Social media is your way to get to share our message with an audience that is not traditional available to come to meetings because of school, because of work, and family responsibilities. Um, the other thing is that as you're building all these opportunities for the young women, you are also building strong partnerships for Ignite with local organizations, with local political clubs, with local elected officials. So your responsibility is to not only you're the face of Ignite in that region, but also to lift the other women's voices and bridge that pipeline for them to be able to get access to those different organizations, different partnerships, different clubs, different people that will allow them to also follow their passion when they decide to run for office. Then the other thing is, like, for me, the key word that I feel everybody should be aware of when thinking about your responsibilities is that your job is not to just you yourself shine, but also for this young woman to have that space to shine, to get their voices out there. And so you're a pipeline for these stories to come forward to represent us when they decide to run for office. The other thing is you got to keep a very open mind about who they are. I mean, I work with young women who are Republicans, who are Democrats, who are pro-choice, not pro-choice, all these different stands that they have. And what you're there to do is not to criticize them or tell them what a specific point of view they should follow, but to tell them that they could do it if they decide to run. The women need to be represented, and we have the tools and we have access to that pipeline for them to be able to do it one day. Those are the only responsibilities with Ignite. The other, I think, again, I mentioned it earlier, is social media. You do need to help us get it out there because if we're not sharing it ourselves, there's no point that people are going to see it. So just keep that in mind. I think that as you ask questions, she said, how do you go about finding organizing events that are non-bipartisan? It's once you start being active.
Monica, we'll leave the
Yes.
questions later.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the questions for later. Sorry, guys. I wanted to answer the questions already. That's basically it. Those are the three more points for your responsibilities. And don't miss your checkups with Sarah. Sarah is basically your boss. With her, if you miss one, you really do delay your work, although she opens up for other opportunities to meet up. But that does put you back a little bit in terms of activities that you want to do or initiatives that you want to have. And that being said, it's becoming louder in here, so that's my ask you questions later.
Tiffany said she's here. Tiff, are you here? Do you guys see Tiffany and I don't?
No, Tiffany's not here.
I don't see her or hear her.
Yeah, neither do I.
Do we help out?
Yeah, who wants to do the next slide?
I can do it.
It
Can you hear
helps
me?
again.
Yep.
Cool. So Tiffany's slide is about who